Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome into Dom Time. You know, the last couple of days we've seen video footage from Rutgers basketball coach Mike Rice that you're seeing right now. You've seen a lot of this. I have on talk radio, Zapruder filmed it with listeners talking about where are the parts where it's acceptable. Some guys telling me, grow up, it's just old school. You know, I've never seen a coach hit a guy with a basketball as part of the practice, though. I've seen a lot of things. And our guest tonight, Phil Andrews here, who at the station is the host of Philly Sports Spotlight, and Ken Dunnick, who is the publisher of Jersey Man magazine, have a lot of experience in the world of sports. Ken played both collegiately and professionally, and Phil has played and covered this. I only was on the freshman team sort of at LaSalle University, so my experience with this. But I did grow up, guys, playing basketball in South Philly. One added thing for viewers that I wanted to get your reaction to. Phil, Governor Christie has been a driving force. This afternoon, he said at a news conference, what parent would let this animal back in their living room about Coach Mike Rice? And I wonder if you think there's a lot of animals out there then that Rice is not so atypical of the average college coach.
Well, let's talk about one coach here from Philadelphia who no longer coaches, John Chaney, first of all.
Right.
John had a quick temper and he would yell a lot at his players, but John Chaney, parents wanted their kids to go play for John Chaney because they knew what John Chaney had to offer. Mm-hmm. John Chaney had the promise of turning their boys into men, and they would graduate from the university, Temple University.
Right.
Players going in there knew what to expect, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. John Chaney yelled a lot. I don't know if you ever had a chance to sit in on any of his practices. I never saw John physically touch a player, maybe once or twice.
Did he curse at them when he was yelling?
Huh?
Did he drop the F-bomb?
Well, yeah, yes.
Okay. So, Ken, I'd ask you then, who's the determinant of this? It's interesting, given your experience. The parent, as Phil's talking about, that's one. Or the university that says all over the place, you can't say any of this stuff. We'll get to the gay slurs that he did, which may have been a driving force here. But you can't be in a classroom dropping the F-bombs, assaulting students in this way.
Well, the major difference is that sports make money for the university. That's really what it comes down to. And that's why they're given the leeway that they do. You know, back in the day, this was rather commonplace. I played both collegiately basketball and football at Memphis State University. Right. And the language is salty. I never saw a basketball coach throw a basketball at a player, certainly not at his head like I did in the films that we're talking about here tonight. But football, there was a couple instances of physical abuse, right. But you just accepted it, and that's the way it used to be.
How about today, though? Right now, today, do you think this guy is that far out of bounds? That's what we're talking about.
Well, I think it's more commonplace than people think. I think this is a dramatic episode and evidence that this thing does go around. So if we saw footage,
we would see some of the same things.
I think you would see it more than you think, yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask viewers myself then. I'll go back to you, Phil, because we talked about Pop Warner before we came on, and a coach you know. I wouldn't let my son play at any of these ages, and I know my father wouldn't let me play. And if he saw the guy at LaSalle doing this, dropping the F-bomb as this guy was in practice, he would just go right after him, right there. That's the way it would be. I just wouldn't allow it. I'm not going to have a guy assault. This is just not, yelling. And it could be yelling, it could be motivation, it could be where the guy throws up in training. But just dropping the F-bomb totally, to me, you can't do that anywhere else.
Come to my house.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, in public. You can't do that here. You can't do that.
And I joke about this. But, yeah, I mean, listen, like Ken, language is probably the biggest. You get a lot of verbal abuse from coaches. Right. I never physically had a coach who put his hands on me. I've seen it done. I've seen coaches grab football players by the mask and shake their heads like this. Like Ken said earlier, you probably couldn't do that in the NFL today because of all the rules.
Isn't it interesting, too, guys? Ken, you played in the NFL, and the NFL probably can do less of this than you can in college. And why?
Well, absolutely. I'll give you two quick examples of what happened to me. In college, a coach took a swing at me on the football field.
Right.
And I ducked, and he called me the P word. But I was powerless there. I needed my scholarship. This was an authoritative figure that I had to, kowtow to. In the pros, when one of my coaches shoved me, I shoved him back because now it's man-to-man. We're both getting paid to do a job. And I didn't accept that from someone, even though he was my boss, I considered him
and now
my peer.
You have a union, you have all those kind of rules,
Exactly.
whereas these college kids, the thing viewers should know is, if they transfer, they have to sit out a year.
Right. And, depending on the sport, if you talk about NBA basketball, well, the players have more leverage than the coach. They make more money.
Right.
They're guaranteed their money. The coach probably, doesn't make as much. Right. So you're more likely to see the player hit the coach, I think, in the NBA than you are the coach to hit the player.
All right, we're going to take a lot of calls tonight with our guests, Ken Dunnick and Phil Andrews, both friends, guys with vast knowledge of sports. Here's how you get in, 866-472-8868. Give us a call right now. Is this Rutgers coach, as Governor Christie said, this animal that would not be left back in the living room? Or is this too much? Are we being politically correct? We'll take your calls straight ahead.